Okay, the text is like a biography of Audrey Hepburn. It starts with an Audrey's memory. She's only a child and she's in her father's arms. She felt really safe and warm in there. When she was very little, she got interested in music, and her mother told her that music was for dance, so she wanted to be a dancer, but she thought that she was too fat. And one day her father left her home, and Audrey and her mom moved to England because there's going to be a war. And when the war began, the Germans sent everybody out of the city, and Audrey and her family had to survive eating only vegetables in winter. So when the war was finished, she was very, very thin and weak. After the war, they moved to Amsterdam, and she got lessons. She got dancing lessons with the best teacher of Holland. So when she was 17, she got a small part in a movie. After that, they moved to London, and she had a paper in a big London musical. So she started to get jobs, and people started to know her and love her. She was very, very pretty, and people like her. So when she was 20, her face was in many magazines, and she was really, really, no, she was getting famous. At that moment in her life, she started a relationship with James Hansen. When she was filming Monte Carlo Baby, the famous writer Colette asked her for playing her Broadway musical as Gigi, and she said yes. She worked very, very hard as Gigi, but she said that after Gigi she wanted to marry James. And when Gigi finished, she acted in Roman Holiday. She was very, very great in that movie, and she wanted to be in movies all the time. She was not ready to get married, and Audrey and James broke up. He was very sad, but he understood. After James, she meets William Holden. He wanted to leave his wife to get married to marry Audrey. But she said no because he was not the right man for her. He drank a lot, and she didn't want to hurt a family. Also, he had 3 kids, so she said no. But the same year, she meets the right man. It was Mel Ferrer. He was a man with a lot of qualities, and he could speak many language, and he was nice with her. In 1953, she won an Oscar for Best Actress in Roman Holiday, and also won a Tony for Best Actress in Ondine. It was a Broadway musical produced by Mel. And in 1954, she moves to Switzerland with Mel, and they get married. She became pregnant, but she lost the baby. She was very, very sad, but she still working. Her next movies were War and Peace, Funny Face, and Paris Love in the Afternoon. And she and Mel couldn't be near, so he gave her a present. It was a little dog that she called Mr. Famous. The next year, they moved to Mexico. Yes, Mel had to work in Mexico, and she went with him because she wanted to be near him. But people was very angry because they wanted more movies with Audrey in them. And they thought that Mel was more her boss than her husband. But she stayed with him because the next year she will work in Africa. And the next year she works in Africa. She play a nun in a movie. But when she back to United States, she made a movie produced by Mel. It was her worst movie. It was boring and people didn't like it. And she was very, very sad because she made the movie for love. And Mel never produced a movie again. After that, she became pregnant, but she got an accident. She fell off a horse and she lost the baby. But sometime later, she became pregnant again for the third time, and she became mother of a baby boy called Sean. After Sean was born, she moved to Switzerland with him and Mr. Famous, and she was very, very happy in there. But with the passage of months, she started to had problems with. She began to have problems with Mel. He thought that she was too much famous, and he didn't like that. And Audrey worked in a movie, but it was very boring. And one day, one day, Mr. Famous was hit by a car and died. So she was very, very sad. One day, somebody called her to let her know that she will be Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. And she said yes, so she made the movie. But this movie was made before with Rex Harrison and Julie Andrews, and people were angry because they wanted Julie again, but the producers wanted Audrey because they wanted a more famous actress. She worked very, very hard to play in My Fair Lady, but one day the director said that they will have to use a different singer. So she gets angry and she started to fight with everyone. Anyway, My Fair Lady won 8 Oscars, but Audrey didn't won one. And after My Fair Lady, Audrey and Mel moved to Spain for 8 months, and it was her best time of her marriage life. But what happened? Oh, but after that, she made a movie, and she was away from Sean and Mel. She became pregnant, and she lost the baby, and that was the end for her and Mel. In 1969, she got married again with Andrea Dotti. He was a doctor, and they have a baby boy called Luca. In 11 years, she only made one movie, and she left Dotti because she heard about her girlfriends. So after that broke up, she wanted to help poor children. She worked in United Nations, and sadly in 1992 she got very, very, very sick. The doctors couldn't help her, and in 1993 she died, sadly, because she was a very good person.